Imagine waking up on a quiet morning at 72. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and yet something feels missing. You go about your routine, make your coffee, maybe read the paper, but the spark you used to feel doesn't show up as easily. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many seniors reach a point after 70 when joy feels harder to touch. It's not that life is empty, it's that life has changed. Friends aren't as close by, the body slows down. The days look different than they used to. And sometimes, you might even ask yourself, where did my joy go? But here's the beautiful truth. Joy never disappears. It shifts. It softens. And with the wisdom you've gathered over decades, you now have the chance to discover joy in a deeper, more lasting way. This isn't about pretending you're 40 again. It's about embracing this chapter with fresh eyes and realizing joy after 70 can be richer, calmer, and more meaningful than ever before. Stay with me, because in this journey, you'll see that joy is not behind you. It's right here, waiting to be rediscovered. Aging past 70 brings many subtle but powerful shifts. Some you can see in the mirror, and others you only feel deep inside. Your body may not move with the same speed it once did. Friends and family might live farther away, or they may be caught up in their own busy lives. Days that were once full of noise and activity may now feel quieter, slower, and sometimes a little lonelier. It's easy to think that joy has faded because life no longer looks like it did in your younger years. But the truth is, joy doesn't vanish. It simply changes its shape. In our 40 seconds and 50 seconds, joy often came from big achievements, packed calendars, and being at the center of family life. But after Hälfte, joy often hides in smaller, gentler places. A warm cup of tea, a grandchild's smile, a quiet walk in nature, or even the peace of sitting in your own home. Psychologists remind us that withdrawing a little or choosing solitude more often isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. It's part of protecting your energy and valuing what truly matters. Life at this stage is less about chasing every opportunity and more about savoring the ones that bring peace. This shift can feel strange at first, even unsettling. But when you begin to see it not as a loss, but as a new doorway, you realize that joy after 70 is not only possible, it's waiting. And in many ways, it can be even richer than before, because it is no longer about proving yourself. It's about finally living in alignment with what your heart really needs. When we think of joy, our minds often travel back to younger days. Birthdays, filled with laughter, vacations with family, or lively gatherings where the house buzzed with conversation. For many seniors, after 70, those images can feel distant. The parties are fewer, the children are grown, and the pace of life slows. And yet, joy is not gone. It has simply moved into new corners of life, waiting to be discovered with fresh eyes. In earlier years, joy often meant being in the middle of everything, hosting dinners, keeping a busy schedule, attending every event. But as energy changes, joy begins to wear a different face. It might now be found in silence instead of noise, in quality instead of quantity. Seniors often share that they no longer need to prove themselves by keeping up appearances. Instead, they value mornings that start slowly, with no rush. Joy becomes the sound of birdsong at dawn, or the comfort of sipping tea in a favorite chair. Take Henry, 76, once the life of every family gathering. In his younger years, he thrived on being surrounded by people. But now, he says the most joyful part of his week is reading quietly in the park near his home. I don't need a room full of people anymore, he says. I need moments that feel true. His story shows how redefining joy helps us continue to experience it, even if it looks different than before. Another way joy transforms is through the appreciation of solitude. For decades, many seniors lived lives crowded with responsibilities, raising children, building careers, maintaining households. Rarely was there time to be alone and actually enjoy it. After 70, solitude stops being loneliness and starts becoming a gift. It offers space to reflect, to breathe, and to reconnect with yourself. James Bashar, once a party host, now spends hours watching birds from his porch. When asked if he feels lonely, he simply smiles. "I have enough stories in my head to keep me company." That is joy, a kind of self-contentment that younger people often rush past. Choosing solitude is not a sign of isolation. It is an embrace of peace. It allows seniors to remember that their own company is enough and that being alone can feel rich rather than empty. As we age, social circles naturally shrink. Friends move, pass away, or simply grow apart. At first, this can feel like a loss. But often, it is actually an invitation to focus on quality over quantity. Instead of spreading energy thinly across many people, seniors can pour it into a few relationships that truly matter. Evelyn, 74, used to juggle dozens of friendships. Now, she cherishes just 3 close connections. Women she can call day or night. She says, "I'd rather have 3 who really see me than 30 who barely know me." This is joy, too. The relief of not chasing approval or keeping up appearances, but investing in bonds that give strength and meaning. Reframing joy after 70 means letting go of comparisons. It means no longer measuring happiness against what used to be possible, the miles walked, the parties hosted, the goals achieved. Instead, it is about noticing the richness of small moments. A phone call from a grandchild, a familiare the smell of fresh bread, or the warmth of the sun on your face. The truth is, joy was never only in the big events. It was always hiding in the small ones too. Now, after 70, we finally have the time and wisdom to notice them fully. After 70, one of the most common fears seniors express is, "I don't have the same energy I used to." And that's true, the body changes with age. Muscles weaken, joints stiffen, and recovery takes longer. But here's the hopeful part. Energy can still be renewed. Not in the same way as at 40, but in a gentler, Wieserrhythm. Caring for the body becomes the doorway to unlocking joy again. Too often, seniors avoid movement because they fear falling or injuring themselves. Ironically, avoiding exercise makes the body weaker. Even small daily activities, standing from a chair without using your arms, lifting light objects, or taking short walks, help maintain muscle strength. George Bashar once believed that resting was safer. After a fall, he stopped exercising altogether. But when a therapist introduced him to 5 minutes of simple strength exercises each day, his legs grew stronger, and so did his confidence. The joy wasn't just in moving again, but in knowing he could trust his body. Eating the way you did in your 40 seconds no longer works at 70. Metabolism slows, digestion changes, and the body craves nutrient-dense meals over heavy portions. Seniors often feel more energy when they swap large dinners for smaller, balanced plates with lean protein, fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats, and hydration. Susan, 74, once stuck to 3 hearty meals a day. But after reducing portion sizes and adding more vegetables, she not only lost weight but slept better and felt calmer. Joy doesn't just come from food as comfort. It also comes from food as nourishment. Another important key is respecting rest. In earlier years, pushing through fatigue was a sign of strength, but after health years, listening to the body becomes an act of wisdom. Short naps, slower mornings, and pacing daily activities aren't signs of weakness. They're strategies for living fully within your current capacity. By honoring the body's rhythm, seniors often find they actually have more energy for the things that matter. Instead of burning out, many seniors brush off small health issues, thinking it's just old age. But ignoring warning signs can create bigger problems. A little dizziness, shortness of breath, or unusual swelling could be your body asking for attention. Henry, 76, ignored blurry vision and tingling feet until his daughter urged him to see a doctor. The diagnosis was early-stage diabetes, manageable only because it was caught in time. Addressing small issues early not only protects health, but also restores peace of mind. When seniors move regularly, eat wisely, rest intentionally, and pay attention to health, something powerful happens. Energy returns, and with energy comes freedom. The freedom to play with grandchildren, to garden, to travel, or simply to enjoy a walk without fear. It's not about turning back the clock. It's about adapting, strengthening what you have, fueling it well, and respecting its limits. The joy of caring for the body after 70 is not just physical, it's emotional. It's the quiet pride of knowing you're still capable, still independent, and still able to embrace life on your terms. And perhaps most importantly, it's the realization that every act of care, every walk, every healthy meal, every doctor's visit is not just maintenance. It's a declaration. My life is still worth cherishing. One of the quiet challenges of aging is how social life changes. After 70, many seniors notice their social circles becoming smaller. Friends move, family grows busy, and health or mobility issues make visiting harder. At first, this can feel like a loss, but in truth, it can also be a relief. Connection after 70 is less about how many people you see, and more about how meaningful those moments are. For much of life, many of us said yes to every invitation. We visited out of duty, joined gatherings out of habit, and carried guilt if we declined. After 70, that guilt no longer serves us. Real friends and loving family don't measure care by constant visits. They understand that your time and energy are precious. Martin, 75, shared that once he stopped forcing himself to attend every event, he felt freer, and surprisingly, his closest relationships grew stronger. Joy comes not from being everywhere, but from showing up where it truly matters. Another shift is moving away from surface-level chatter. Many seniors feel drained by gossip or repetitive arguments. What they crave is authenticity, conversations that bring laughter, wisdom, or comfort. Grace, 76, decided to stop visiting relatives whose gatherings were always full of conflict. Instead, she spends time with a neighbor who listens deeply. 1 hour with her fills me up more than a whole afternoon of drama, she says. For some, mobility or distance makes face-to-face meetings harder. Here, technology becomes a powerful tool. Video calls with grandchildren, joining online book clubs, or even sending voice messages can create warmth across miles. At first, technology can feel intimidating, but even learning just one simple skill, like making a video call, can open doors. Raymond, Bashi, used to feel cut off when his children moved states away. Now, he enjoys weekly video chats and says, "It's not the same as being there, but it's close enough to remind me I'm loved." Sometimes connection is easier when others come to you. After 70, driving across town or navigating unfamiliar places can be exhausting. Inviting a friend for tea at home or hosting small gatherings on your porch makes socializing both joyful and manageable. The key is to remember that connection should never feel like a chore. Whether it's a phone call, a short visit, or even sitting quietly with someone you trust, joy comes when interactions feel genuine and safe. It's not about how often you connect, but how deeply. In the end, staying connected after 70 isn't about filling your calendar. It's about filling your heart. And when connection is chosen with care, it becomes one of the greatest sources of joy in this stage of life. As the body changes after 70, the mind and spirit become even more important. Physical strength may fade, but mental clarity, inner peace, and spiritual growth can flourish. In fact, many seniors say that their deepest joys now come not from what they do, but from what they think, feel, and believe. Cultivating the mind and spirit is one of the most powerful ways to rediscover joy in this stage of life. The brain, like a muscle, thrives on use. Reading, solving puzzles, learning new skills, or even trying a new hobby stimulates mental pathways. Evelyn Boscher joined an art class after noticing her memory slowing. She found that painting not only sharpened her focus, but gave her a fresh sense of excitement. Joy often comes from stretching the mind just enough to feel challenged, but not overwhelmed. Even small habits like reading a chapter each day or doing a crossword puzzle act as daily nourishment for the brain. Another source of joy is reflection. After 70, many people feel a natural pull to look back, not with regret, but with curiosity and gratitude. Writing in a journal, recording life stories for grandchildren, or simply revisiting old photo albums can bring both healing and happiness. Robert Bashar spends his mornings journaling about his childhood. He says, "It feels like I'm giving myself back pieces of my life." Reflection transforms memory into meaning. By sharing wisdom, seniors also feel a renewed sense of purpose. Their stories are not just memories, they are gifts for the next generation. Spirituality, whether religious or personal, often deepens with age. Some find peace in prayer or worship, while others find it in mindfulness, meditation, or walking in nature. The form doesn't matter as much as the feeling, the sense of being part of something larger than yourself. Seniors often say this perspective helps them let go of worry, forgive past hurts, and embrace each day with gratitude. Maria, 77, walks in her garden every morning, whispering prayers of thanks. "It reminds me I'm still connected to life," she says. This sense of connection to the sacred, however you define, it brings comfort and quiet joy. Cultivating the mind and spirit also means caring for emotional health. After 70, it's easy to slip into feelings of loneliness, invisibility, or grief. Acknowledging these emotions instead of burying them is an act of courage. Support groups, trusted friends, or even therapy can provide safe spaces for sharing. Joy grows when the heart is not weighed down by unspoken pain. Seniors often discover that vulnerability doesn't make them weaker. It makes them lighter. The beauty of this stage is clarity. With fewer distractions, many seniors focus on what truly matters: relationships, peace of mind, creativity, and spiritual depth. Unlike earlier in life, joy no longer requires grand achievements. It comes from alignment when your daily actions match your inner values. Whether it's through books, prayers, art, or time in nature, cultivating the mind and spirit ensures that joy flows not from the outside world, but from within. In the end, the richest joys after 70 are often invisible. They cannot be measured by steps taken or dollars earned, but by the quiet strength of the mind and the gentle resilience of the spirit. And when the mind and spirit are nourished, joy is no longer fleeting. It becomes a steady companion. One of the most important lessons after 70 is learning to embrace change rather than resist it. The world around you grows smaller, in some ways fewer friends, fewer routines, and perhaps fewer abilities. But at the same time, life opens in new directions, deeper reflection, more gratitude, and a clearer sense of purpose. It can feel painful when friends pass away, move, or drift apart. Social gatherings that once felt vibrant may now feel quiet. Instead of seeing this as loss alone, many seniors discover that it's also a kind of freedom. With fewer obligations, there is space to pour energy into the people and activities that truly matter. Margaret, 84, says, "I no longer chase every invitation. I invest in the ones that feed my soul." That shift turns shrinking circles into sacred spaces of meaning. Loss is unavoidable in later years. The temptation is to focus on what's gone: health, loved ones, or abilities. But reframing grief into gratitude transforms pain into purpose. Each memory becomes a treasure, each day with loved ones, a gift. Robert Bashart, who lost his wife, says, "I still miss her every day. But instead of asking why me, I ask, how lucky was I to have had her?" That change doesn't erase grief, but it softens it, making space for joy to live alongside sorrow. With age comes clarity. You may not control time, but you can shape the mark you leave. Legacy doesn't have to mean wealth or fame. It can mean mentoring a young neighbor, teaching a grandchild to cook, or writing down life lessons. These acts ripple outward. Seniors often find renewed joy in realizing that their lives continue to impact others in small, meaningful ways. Sharing wisdom, kindness, and presence may be the greatest gift of all. Purpose does not always come from grand projects. Sometimes it's in the small routines: tending a garden, caring for a pet, or encouraging a friend. After 70, purpose is less about chasing achievements and more about being fully alive in the ordinary moments. Embracing this truth allows seniors to see that their lives are not winding down. They are evolving into a stage of deeper presence and meaning. In the end, embracing change is not giving up. It is leaning into life as it is, rather than as it once was. And when that acceptance is paired with a sense of purpose, joy flows naturally. At this age, joy no longer depends on what you have lost, but on how you choose to live with what remains, with courage, with wisdom, and with love. If you've ever wondered whether it's too late to feel joy again, let me reassure you, it is never too late. Joy is not something reserved for the young, nor is it limited to certain seasons of life. It's a flame that can be rekindled at any age, especially after 70. When you finally have the time, wisdom, and freedom to experience it more deeply. It's natural to feel moments of loneliness, fatigue, or even discouragement. Many seniors go through these phases, and it does not mean you are failing. It simply means you are human, adjusting to a new rhythm of life. What matters is not how quickly you bounce back, but how gently you treat yourself along the way. Remember, slowing down doesn't mean you've stopped living. A smaller circle of friends doesn't mean you are unloved. And moments of sadness don't erase the possibility of happiness. These are simply the shifting landscapes of later life, and they are completely normal. The truth is, your joy doesn't have to look like it once did. It may be quieter, simpler, or softer, but that does not make it less real. In fact, it often makes it richer. Every smile, every memory, every connection you nurture carries more weight now because you see its true value. So, if you've been doubting yourself, take this to heart. You have not missed your chance at joy. You're standing in it. And with each step of kindness toward yourself, whether it's a walk, a goal, or a moment of prayer, you're already living in joy, even if it feels small at first. Now that we've walked through this journey together, let's pause and gather the lessons. Finding joy after 70 is not about chasing the past. It's about seeing the present through new eyes. We began by reframing what joy means. Joy no longer has to be loud or busy. It can be peace, solitude, or the comfort of a few close friends. It's about quality over quantity and about appreciating the smaller moments that truly matter. We then looked at the body. While strength and energy naturally change with age, caring for your body through gentle movement, balanced nutrition, proper rest, and attention to health unlocks the freedom to keep doing what you love. Energy is not gone. It simply asks for a wiser rhythm. Next, we saw the importance of connection. Staying socially engaged doesn't mean saying yes to everything. It means choosing relationships that nourish you, conversations that uplift you, and even embracing technology as a bridge when distance makes visits harder. Connection is joy, but only when it feels safe and genuine. We also explored the mind and spirit. Joy flows when the mind is active and the heart is open. Reading, journaling, praying, or simply walking in nature keeps you grounded and grateful. Reflection transforms memories into meaning, while faith and mindfulness create peace in the present moment. Finally, we embrace change and purpose. Later life brings inevitable shifts, smaller circles, slower rhythms, moments of loss. But each of these can also reveal purpose, to share wisdom, to nurture love, and to live with clarity about what matters most. So here's the takeaway. Joy is not behind you. It is here, in the shape of today. It may look different, but it can be richer, calmer, and deeper than ever before. The secret is not to run from change, but to lean into it with courage, with gratitude, and with love. If you take even one small step, a walk, a call, a journal entry, a prayer, you are already living in joy. And perhaps that is the greatest wisdom of all. Joy is not something you wait for. It's something you choose right here, right now. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you for walking through this reflection with me. Joy after 70 is not about doing more. It's about noticing more, cherishing more, and choosing what truly matters. And every small step you take, no matter how ordinary it seems, is already shaping a joyful life. I'd love to hear from you. What is one simple thing that brings you joy these days? Maybe it's a morning walk, a favorite song, or a phone call with someone you love. Share it in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else who's watching. And if this message has spoken to your heart, I invite you to stay connected with us. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and join our growing community of seniors who are walking this journey together. Remember, joy is not behind you, and it's not ahead of you either. It's right here, in the present moment. All you have to do is pause long enough to notice it,